If you've never experienced a steam engine in person, especially one of the biggest ones in the country, there's no way for me to accurately describe how impressive it is in person. So let's open this video letting Reading 2102 doing the talking, climbing up out of Pittston back on its way to the Lehigh Valley Gorge. Over the weekend on this trip, I came away from two takeaways chasing Reading 2102. And the first is that there is not enough mainline steam in the United States. And there's multiple reasons for this, but the one main one is that it's very hard to maintain, and also that most freight railroads in the US don't want this stuff on their tracks anymore because they're so focused on profit. That's why it's very, very unusual to have Union Pacific have their big boy and steam program in general. Anyway, this event went all the way from Nesquehonock to Tunkhannock, very Pennsylvania town names. And this all takes place on the Reading and Northern Freight Railroad, or, practically they run enough passenger nowadays, and that's sort of what I want to talk about. Before I talk about that, I have to mention that this following shot was filmed by Jeremy Zorek in the back of my car while we tailed this thing. Super cool experience, and also Liam was the one that predicted being able to pull out and tail this thing on time when it was going by, so super cool for that. Anyway, the Reading and Northern has pretty much a daily passenger train. Now, granted, it's only used for excursions out of Jim Thorpe, but it's the fact that they've not only done that, but built passenger stations and passenger, infrastructure in multiple places, including Pittston, where this train went by and turned around on the Y. That's why it's going backwards in reverse. There was no turning loop at Tunkhannock. Obviously, not with steam, but with some of their other equipment, they could possibly run daily or even multiple daily round trips between Reading and Scranton of some sort, or maybe between other towns in Reading or other places in Jim Thorpe. It's just frustrating because I feel like if the state of Pennsylvania just handed them, 20 or 30 million a year, which is not much in the grand scheme of things, they could run a few round trip services with RDCs between these places. And they seem really happy to try to delve into passenger stuff, so I don't know how interested the state would actually be in doing that, but it's something that I could see being possible. And with Amtrak service coming to Reading and Scranton probably within the next 10 years, it would make sense to connect the two places, or at least I think it would. And the Reading and Northern seems to be one of the most positive freight railroads when it comes to actually running passenger equipment. They are the fourth biggest Class 2 in the country, and they're also the only privately owned one, so it kind of comes together to make something that is cohesive for the idea. Anyway, on this trip I had a ton of fun, not only chasing the steam locomotive itself, but seeing a lot of the different parts of the Poconos that I haven't seen before. That was the engine fighting up the grade out of Jim Thorpe on its way to Pittston. This was such a cool thing to see, especially from the top of this ridge line. The wires you're seeing are some power lines that stretch over the valley. The Lehigh Gorge is beautiful and totally recommend to go up there. It's just very frustrating that you basically need a car to visit a lot of these places. It's just frustrating to me, obviously, as someone who lives in the city without a car. A lot of this stuff is not accessible unless you have access to a car, obviously. Thankfully, I still do through my family, but it's just the fact that, all of this stuff could be so much easily connected, or easier to connect, if the state just put, a slight amount of money in it, because you have opportunities like Reading and Northern where they'd probably be very accepting of the fact, hey, give us, a slight amount of money for a subsidy, and we'll run your service, no problem. Either way, I had a great time with friends chasing this thing, even if it was very hot out, and we didn't get much food along the way or much time to stop and actually enjoy ourselves because we were chasing this thing. But yeah, no, I'm kind of reliving the footage here, and a lot of it turned out really good. This drone shot in particular was a lot of fun to shoot. Unfortunately, drones don't record audio, so it's good for talking over, but not much else. But maybe I'll leave you with this ending thing and some music here, because this is a fun outro.